She was just an ordinary woman. She woke at dawn, pressed coffee, brushed sleep from her children's faces, and waved them off to the rhythm of another weekday. She worked hard, clocking hours, balancing spreadsheets, smoothing over tempers and tempers lost. She had a car. She had a home. She had a plan for the future, and she believed herself secure. Then one morning, a letter arrived. Cold type on crisp paper, with the bank's logo staring back like an unblinking eye. Denied. No reason. No plea. No human voice on the other end of the line. Suddenly, her money wasn't hers. Her history, her savings, her trust, all measured by a score she didn't know she was earning, judged by rules she didn't know she was playing. No one could tell her why. The silence was as final as a locked door. She tried to understand. She searched the fine print, called the numbers, waited on hold as the music looped and looped, but no answer came. So she dug deeper, past the polite rejections and the empty apologies. She found a world beneath the world, a hidden game, with unseen hands moving the pieces. Here, money didn't mean wealth. It meant permission. The right to live in the light, to move, to breathe, to exist. To have money wasn't to be free, but to be allowed. And the strange thing was, those who printed the money, who conjured it from thin air, were never bound by it. They floated above, immune to the rules that held everyone else down. Those who earned it, who traded hours and sweat for digits on a screen, they were the ones bound. Bound by contracts, by obligations, by the ever-present threat of not enough. She watched as dollar bills twisted and warped, their clean lines unraveling into barcodes. She saw faces blurred by the light of 1,000 screens, identities reduced to numbers and credit reports. She signed documents she could not read, and even as the paper burned, the chains remained, unseen but unbreakable. They said that money was value. But she came to understand it was belief, nothing more. A belief, carefully engineered, reinforced by every ad, every lesson, every sigh of relief when the card swipe went through. They didn't need to chain your hands, they only needed to program your mind. Debt became duty, an invisible weight pressing down on every decision. Consumption became identity, what you had, what you wore, what you showed. And silence? Silence became survival. The less you asked, the safer you felt. The less you saw, the freer you believed yourself to be. She remembered lessons in school, rows of children learning about finance and savings, their wrists figuratively cuffed to desks, taught to obey and conform. Brain scans, she saw, revealed the words glowing inside: debt, fear, status, words that shaped thought, that molded generations. But who wrote these words? Who held the keys? She traced the lines to their source, the names at the top of the pyramid. Central banks, with their vaults and their policies. Credit agencies, with their shadowy algorithms. BlackRock, IMF, the alphabet soup of institutions. Names everyone knew, but no one voted for. They decided who rose, who fell, who would eat tonight, and who would go hungry. They set the rules, moved the goalposts, rewrote the story. And all the while, the illusion of freedom remained. The door was never locked, but it was never open either. She imagined a gold key floating in the air, so close yet impossibly distant. Behind it, a machine of endless gears and cogs, grinding away, controlling the screens marked life, credit, freedom. She realized she'd never seen the inside. She'd only seen the effects, felt the pressure, lived the consequences. The prison was invisible. Worse, it was a prison people defended. The worst prisons, she saw, are the ones you believe in, the ones you build for yourself. Society mocked the poor, ridiculed those who struggled. It worshipped the rich, aspired to their lifestyles, mimicked their habits. Those who dared to step outside the system were canceled, shunned. Every tap on buy now, every chase for a better credit score was a polishing of the cage. She saw herself locked inside her luxury apartment, scrolling her phone, the glow of debt alerts pinging, tears falling in silence. The world outside was unreachable, and the comforts inside were laced with anxiety. Then, the cracks appeared. The world shook. 2008. An earthquake in the markets, trust shattered overnight. 2020. A pandemic, a cascade of stimulus checks, bailouts for the powerful. 2022. Another crash, another panic in the halls of power. She watched the news, endless footage of economic collapse, slow-motion printing presses churning out trillions, protests in the streets. She looked into the mirror and saw the fractures running through her own reflection. If value could be printed at will, she wondered, did it mean it was never real? Was the whole system a shared hallucination, one that could be changed or ended at any moment? She watched as the world shifted from paper to plastic, from accounts to apps, from a sense of freedom to what she now saw as frictionless slavery. Digital was supposed to mean liberation, the end of cash, the end of waiting in lines. But it meant something else, too. Total surveillance, total dependency. Every transaction tracked, every movement logged. If everything was code, what would happen if someone flipped a switch? One denial, and your life could be erased. She saw a smartwatch flash, access denied. She saw facial recognition scans, a red rejected blinking over her face. She imagined a world without cash, without escape, only silence, a silence heavy with fear. But then something in her shifted. She stopped running. She stopped accepting. She began to question, to see past the illusions. She realized that freedom wasn't a number, wasn't a balance, wasn't a score. Freedom was awareness. It was the courage to see the system, to see its limits, and to walk beyond them. She left behind her screens, her wallets, her endless calculations. She stepped into the world, barefoot, the earth beneath her feet, the sky above. She smiled, not because she was rich, but because she was no longer afraid. She was free, not in the eyes of the system, but in her own. And so, the question remains, what if you were never poor, just imprisoned by a system that made you feel that way? What if the chains were not on your wrists, but in your mind? What if freedom starts, not with wealth, but when you stop playing their game? The world waits, silent. The gears still turn, the key still floats, just out of reach. But now, you see it. The prison is real, but so is the door. Will you wake up or keep sleeping in gold? It's a story told in every currency, every code, every quiet moment of decision. The woman's journey is not just hers, it is yours, it is everyone's. We are taught that money is a game. Work hard, play fair, and you will win. But no one tells you who set the rules, or why the board is tilted. No one tells you that the richest players don't play by the rules at all. They write them. The system was built to serve itself. Every loan, every mortgage, every line of credit ties you tighter to it. Miss a payment, and you become a lesson for others. Pay on time, and you become a model prisoner. Either way, you are inside the walls. You measure your worth not in kindness, not in wisdom or love, but in numbers. Your score, your balance, your approval. And the more you chase, the farther it slips away. The woman's awakening was not sudden. It began with a question, one that grew louder with every denial, every rejection, every sleepless night. Whose permission am I seeking? Whose approval do I need to live my life? She saw the faces of those who judged her and realized they were faceless. Algorithms, formulas, committees, no one person, no human heart. The world outside the prison is not perfect. There is uncertainty. There is risk. There is the unknown. But there is also possibility. There is life beyond the score, beyond the approval, beyond the chains. Some will say that money is necessary, that order is needed, that without rules there is chaos. But what if the rules themselves are the chaos? What if the greatest danger is not poverty, but a world where value can be erased with a keystroke, where lives are determined by invisible hands? The woman walks forward, each step lighter than the last. She is not alone. Others begin to see. They begin to question. They begin to imagine a world where value is measured not by what you have, but by what you give. Where wealth is not a prison, but a tool for freedom. She looks back once at the world of screens and alerts and endless striving. She knows she can never go back. Not really. The prison is still there for those who do not see it. But for her, the door is open. The truth is not easy. It is not comfortable. It demands that you look, that you ask, that you refuse to be silent. But in the end, it is the only way out. The only way to be truly free. The global currency prison is vast. Its walls are built from trust, from belief, from the habits of generations. But every prison has an exit. Every exit begins with a question. What if you are not who they say you are? What if your worth cannot be measured? What if your freedom is yours to claim whenever you are ready? The woman smiles, her feet on the earth, her heart unchained. She knows the answer. The rest is up to us. Will you wake up or keep sleeping in gold?